support. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with some ornaments. And these are paper mache balls. They do have a string. If, let me turn that a little bit. If yours doesn't come with a string, don't worry about it. We're actually going to cut it off. But if you do have it, it's kind of handy. All right. First thing you're going to do is gesso, and trust me when I tell you you want to gesso first, it'll make your life a lot easier later on. So I've already gessoed this one, as you can see, and I've prepared a lot of stuff ahead of time because we have a lot to do. So this one's gessoed. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue on some trim. And the trims that I'm using tonight are the Prima, I think they're called Magnolia trims. Yes, they are. And you can see that I really like these because this is all I have left out of 1.5 yards on this particular one. Okay, I'll give you the numbers even though I do have them linked and Alda has them. This is 583019 and you need 3 of these for each ornament. I'm also using this one here, which is another gorgeous little flower. And this one is also Magnolia trim. It is 583033. So for one ornament, you need 3 of these are actually a medium-sized ones, and you need 2 of the little ones. And I'm going to go ahead and glue. I've already started, just so we didn't have to wait on too much stuff. Okay, so I've got 2 of the lace flowers there. So I'm going to put one about right there. And of course, I should have turned my glue upside down. I am using the Aleene's Tacky mostly because I haven't gotten to the store to get Fabri-Tac. And I'm just going to push it on there. That's all I'm doing. Okay, and then I'm going to put on my 2 little babies. Now, you can put as many as you want or as few as you want. I think it'd be really pretty if the whole thing was full, but I wanted to make quite a few of these, so I needed to save my trim. Okay. Now, obviously, normally I would let this dry real well before proceeding, and you might have to kind of baby the little ones and push them in place and hold them there. Let me wipe off the glue for just a second. And you can keep doing that until it's dry. I mean, it will go into place. All right. The next thing you want to do is I added a little bit of molding paste to mine. You can use regular. I'm using the light molding paste. And I'm not using a lot. I'm just going in between and just making, I'm being not very careful about it. I do want some peaks and valleys. I'm not aiming to cover the whole thing. I just want to have enough on there so that my mist will, because we're using a two-tone mist, it will hold the color in spots more than in others. And I'm going to go ahead and heat set that, and this is where having this really helps. Okay, it's a lot easier to hang on to if you got the string, so bear with me. I do need to make sure that the molding paste is dry. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are making a Christmas swag. Ooh, that's a little hot on the fingers. Okay, let me check and see how that is. If it's dry enough. Still a few little spots. One thing about heat setting that I found molding paste is that it will dry really well on the outside, but it'll still be damp. It almost like needs a little bit of time to cure. So if you do have time to let it air dry and it doesn't take that long, go ahead and do that. Okay, let's check it again. That's pretty good. Okay, I can put this away. And then we're going to go ahead and do some spraying. And I am using Lindy Stamp Gang Moon Shadow Mist. Now, these mists are actually a brown pigment with a color mica. So you can see that it's got a brown color and the mica powder is blue. And let me get my box here because otherwise I will have it everywhere. Okay, shake it up really good. I really love this, and having the peaks and valleys will really make this shine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and you can see it looks kind of a brownish gray, and I'm going to heat set this side. Oh, I forgot to gesso again. So just so you know, I should have gessoed in between. And just a light coat on the flowers would have been enough. But I didn't, so oh well. Not going back now. I'm just turning it around and making sure I'm capturing some color. This one's going to be a much darker color because I didn't add gesso to it. As you know, gesso will help your mists move. It will also help your paint move. I hope you can see, well, I'll have to lift it up for you guys to see how it's darker in spots than others. And you can really see the blue coming through. And that's really difficult to capture on camera, especially when you're taking a picture. And it just shimmers and shines. And I think a little bit more will be good. I'm at the end of my bottle here, trying to figure out where the nozzle is. That's a tip for you. If you're down at the end of your bottle, find where your nozzle hits the bottom and turn your sprayer towards it. Okay. There's some gorgeous colors of the Moon Shadow Mist. I love the blue. There's a couple of really nice green ones too that are really gorgeous. But you get the brown undertones with the blue shimmer, which is the awesome part about it. Now, the main reason that I wanted you to gesso in between, unlike what I just did, is, like I said, first of all, your colors will be a little bit lighter. And second of all, your lace flowers will require less. But it doesn't really make that much difference right now because we're going to add more on top of that. Okay, we're going to call that good for now, and I'm going to move that out of the way. All right, this is 13 Arts Splash ink. It is a silver color, and unfortunately, the last time I used it, I broke the dispenser on it, so I'm just going to pour some in my plate. And all I'm going to do with this here is to just add a little bit on top of each of the lace blooms. Can you see the difference? It really picks up on the blue color and it just adds even more shimmer. And I'm just touching and rubbing on top of that lace. And after a while, your finger will turn blue from the mist underneath it. You can wipe it off and proceed. And as soon as it's done, I will show you and we will heat set again. These lace trims from Prima are just absolutely gorgeous, and Alda, I'm pretty sure they only make 4, but Alda has all 4 of them in the store. Oh my gosh. If you don't buy anything else, you need to buy some of those. I have to wipe my fingers. Okay, can you see that? Whoops, sorry. I'm getting used to this. Can you see the shimmer? Yes, you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to heat set that. Let me close this up. Just enough to say normally I would let that dry by itself. That's me. Okay, so we're going to put that aside while we work on the next. Yeah, that's good. On the next part. Okay, so the next part is the star. And we're making the star out of cardboard, corrugated cardboard. Now, I did make up a template. And to be honest with you, what I did is I went into my Word program, um, took the star shape, then 3D'd it, printed it up, and then just made my lines longer, so because otherwise it would be like this, cut off, and I didn't like that, so I went ahead and made my shapes normal. And what that did is it gave me a wonky star. Okay, and then I just traced it and cut it out of the corrugated cardboard. Now, if you don't have any of that, you are not ordering enough from Alda, because Alda has the best boxes around. So the next step that we want to do is we want to remove the top layer, and you can see I've already started doing that. And for the most part, it's pretty easy. Just pick a spot. You'll have some areas, depending on which way you're pulling, that it won't want to pull off. And if it's on there really good, just give it a quick spritz of water, rub it in, and just wait a few seconds, and that should be able to take it out for you. Okay, so that's good for me. I like it just the way it is, and I'm going to go ahead and spray that too. And let me see if I can find a piece of paper here that isn't totally blue so you can see. I am using, this is Shimmers, and it is, oh my god, chocolate brownie. It is colorings called Shimmers Colorings. Chocolate brownie. It's a beautiful color. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and spray it. You can spray it as dark or as light as you want it. That's up to you. And heat set that. Going to try and do all the wet stuff so that we can just go on to the build after. Now over top of that, I wanted to add a little bit more. I wanted to add white, and it's very difficult to add white on top of a color. It doesn't always change. But what I found is I'm using the Vibe Snowstorm. That's also a Shimmers product. And what I found was that by adding the white over top of this particular brown, is that it ended up giving me sort of a bluish tone, which is awesome. That just picked up on the color even more. So again, as little or as much as you want. The computer's going into sleep. Okay. Okay. I do have one already. So I'm going to set this aside because it does need to be dry, otherwise nothing will stick to it. So this is what you wind up with. Okay. Can you see the blue? It's picking up. Right here you can really see it. Okay. So that's that. So now we have one more thing to paint. And I'm using the Prima. This is Sandra Evertson Archival Cast. And these are the Chandelier Pendants 3. I used one similar to that. And I think I will use this one tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. Oh, okay, move that out of the way. And don't have a cow, but I'm cutting this off. I wanted it in 2 different pieces. And you can easily bend it so you can cut it. I'm just using my pliers. Actually, I think I used my Tim scissors the last time. Okay, I didn't bend it enough. There we go. These are absolutely gorgeous. I really don't know what they're made of. They might be a resin. I guess they probably are resin. The Prima ladies could probably tell you better than I can. But they have a different texture to them. It's really interesting, and they're really beautiful. There's quite a few different sets. Okay. All right, so on the big one, I'm using the 13 Art Splash, and I'm just going to rub it on top. That's all I'm doing. I just want to add a little bit of shimmer because this is not a finished, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have a shine to it. And of course, since we're doing Christmas, and since I'm not doing glitter, I do want it to shine. So that's it. Can you tell the difference? That has nothing. That has shine. Okay, and then for this one, I'm using a little bit of brown paint. And how much brown paint do I need? About that much. And I'm just going to do it with my fingers. It won't be perfect, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry as well and wipe my fingers because I don't want brown paint on the next part. Okay, moving on. I have to look back and see. Alright, so once your ornament is dry, you're going to need some fibers. And when I say fibers, I'm talking about yarn. Okay, and where is... Alright, I've lost my big long piece of yarn. Where the heck did it go? Hang on just a second. There it is. I put it in the box. Okay. I have here so you can see these are just yarns from my stash. I have 5 different ones in tones of cream, beige, brown, and This one here has a little bit of gray, a bluish gray in it, and it kind of works out really well for what I'm doing. Okay, and I need roughly about, I'm going to cut that end off there, roughly about a yard. But before I cut it, I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot on the end. Not right on the end. I do want about that much overlap. Okay, and I might end up trimming that off, but that's, for now, that's good. All right, I need my scissors, and this is why it doesn't matter if your ornaments have a string or not, because we're cutting it off. This is going to become our string. Now I need my Fabri-Tac, and since I didn't have too much, I saved it for the stuff I really need it for. Okay, so I'm just putting it right over top of where I cut off the holder, and I'm going to glue my knot right on top. And where's the glue? Right there. Okay, I'm just going to hold it there for a second, and then I will trim some of these a little bit on the side, the short side, and just kind of angled. That's good right there. Okay, and on top of that, I have a jingle bell, because you know you can't do Christmas without jingle bells. So I'm just going to add some glue just right where it would normally be tied onto something. And I'm going to go ahead and just glue it right over top of my knot and hold that for a second, because I do want to make sure it stays in place. Okay, now I do need at least one more jingle bell, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to thread it on one of these pieces of yarn, and I'm going to pick this one here because I know I won't have problems with that one. Oh, I forgot to cut. Forgot to cut, you guys. Okay, that's about a yard. Okay, so I'm going to pick one of the really thin pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and thread a smaller jingle bell. I happen to have all the big ones I had were silver, and all the small ones are gold. That's what I had. That's what I'm using. And of course I can't see what I'm doing there. All right. Now, because you're making, you need 3 of these. For 2 of them, I put 2 of these smaller jingle bells on, and on this one here, you only need 1, because this one here will actually be a short loop. And I know I'm kind of off camera, but all I'm doing is tying a knot to hold it in place. That's it. So you can see what I've done there. Okay, there's the little one. Getting caught on the scissors, that's not a good thing, right? Just twirl it. Okay. I'm going to put the lid on my glue before it dries up on the end again. Alright, so now, like I said, I have 3 of these. So I'm going to line them up. Okay, and you can tell the difference between the ones that I gessoed and the one I didn't gesso after I put the fabric on. So this one is much darker. So depending on what you like, you can do it either way. So these ones here have 3 jingle bells. 1 big one, 2 little ones. Okay, so these are my longest pieces. I need to move more stuff. Alright, this is my, what I'm going to call my short piece. Okay, so you want to line them up however you want, but you definitely want to stagger them. And about like that. And this one here is going to go about like that. Okay, and then grab the other end. Okay. Now this is the part that's slightly difficult to do on camera. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tie an overhand knot. I'm going to fold my excess yarn towards the front. Okay, grab it and make a knot. Now I tried this a couple different ways and I found this was the way I liked it the best. Okay, so here's all my excess and I'm going to cut some of it off. About like that. And here's my knot with my loops up at the top. Now you'll find when you're doing this, it's much easier to be able to hang it up to see what you're doing. Okay? Let me get rid of some of this excess. And then I'll put it back down. And of course I twisted it around. Okay. So now let's move it like that. We're going to move on back to the star because we need to work on the star and I just dropped it. Where'd it go? And I wanted some of this yarn also on my star. So I have a little piece left here. Let's see if I can figure this out without totally messing it up. Okay, just need the ends. That's all I need. There it is. And note to self, don't fold your yarn in half. And then move it around. That's not a good thing. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to take one end with the same 5. Okay, and I'm going to wrap around. Alright, so I'm going to go like this. So I'm holding, sort of holding the danglies down there. Okay, I'm going to go around. Okay, is that how I did it? Oops, gone the wrong way. Going the wrong way. Like this. Alright, and then back the same way again. I think that's how I did it. No, it's not. We're going to play, you guys, because I can't remember how I did this. Alright, like that. Yes, like that. And like this. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to pull these out from underneath and I'm going to tie my knot right here. And I'm going to cut off my excess. And about like that. Okay, so you end up with a dangly of yarn. Dangly, is that the right word? I don't even know. Okay, let's see if the rest of our pieces are dry. The 13 Arts splash ink dries really fast. Okay, so I took a little piece. I have some hemp cord, and I'll just go. It's called fashion cord. I'll just got some gorgeous colors of this in the store, but I'm using the brown. This is what I have, and I just need a little tiny piece. This is actually too much. And along with that, I am using, and you can tell I had sprayed all over the place on my little bag here. These are the new Flying Unicorn adornments. These are the Christmas ones. This particular bag is called, set is called Wish. There's a snowflake. There's like a little sled. Wish, that's the one we're using tonight. And the little Santa. You can see the little wish. It's teeny tiny, but it is adorable. So that's what we're using. I actually thought about putting some of the snowflakes on, but they were actually getting lost in the yarn. And I've got like yarn glued all over my hand. Okay, so I'm going to make a little knot at the end of my string. Might make it double. Yeah. Okay, let's try that again. Well, apparently I can't make knots tonight. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to cut it off pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and thread my little wish on there, and I do want the knot showing. Okay, and I'm using foam dots because trying to cut a piece of cardboard that small is like next to impossible, and I actually have one already cut. I'm just going to put a little foam dot on the back. Okay, of course if I put it on there straight it would be great. Okay, and I'm going to glue that with the Fabri-Tac because I don't want it to move. On top of my little piece of resin, a little angled. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and thread the end. Let's make it so it's not wispy. So it'll thread easy. These little holes are, I mean, when I say little, I'm not kidding. They're like really tiny. So don't think about normal yarn or even baker's twine and it's too thick. I was actually wanting to use twine, but that didn't work. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue that on the back. I didn't make this piece to dangle. Okay, and then I'm going to cut off my excess. So this piece is done. I still have all this left on that piece. Okay, so this part is done. The star is done. The balls are done. We're not done. Okay, I'll just got the flowers, which is called the Garden Bloom assortment of Flying Unicorn adornments back in the store. And of course, as soon as I saw it, I had to get them. I'm going to use this particular flower. You can see it much better that way. Okay. And I am going to move my glue out of the way, and my little piece, I'm going to spray it with the Lindy's Moonshadow Mist, just to give it a little bit of blue, and heat set that as well. And that will dry really quick. And it's probably not smart that I'm doing this on a foam plate, but there it is. I'll put it on my table. That out of the way. Just wipe off the back of it. Alright, and I'm just going to glue that as my center to my flower. Okay? Can you see the shimmer? Can you see the blue? Just that one little spritz. Okay, so now that's all ready. Now I need a piece of paper. I'll use this here. And excuse me, I need to get a little drink of water. I know you all know these snowflakes, right? They're plastic snowflakes. You can get them, a whole bunch of them for like $1 at the dollar store. These are the ones that I have. They're white. I don't want it white. I want it blue. Okay? I actually heat emboss these, you guys. So, I already have one done, but I want you to see, and since we have a little bit of time, because surprisingly enough, we're almost done. Where is my cardboard? I will do that. You'll see it a little bit better, okay? I wanted you to see. You can actually, on mine, I did both sides because I wasn't sure where it was going to get hung up. You can do both sides. You just have to be very careful about how you're doing it, okay? You don't have to do both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Versamark and really push it into my snowflake. And it's all over my ink pad, but that's okay. That's my ink pad for when I'm playing with stuff like this. And this is an older product. This is Stampendous Frontage. Is Shabby Blue Embossing Enamel. I don't even know if it's still available anymore, but it's got chunks of like gold, and it's got blue pigment and white pigment in it, and that's what gives you the variety. So I'm going to go ahead and just spread that out all over my snowflake. And I need my little pickup tool, and I need my, where are my reverse tweezers? Right here. Okay. And I'm going to put it back on my. Make sure when you're doing this, because you're heat setting plastic, you want to make sure that your heat gun is really hot and you want to continuously move, okay? And I'm going to put this down so I can move this over so I don't spread it everywhere. Okay? So literally keep it moving. And it'll take a little bit longer than normal to heat set it because you're not staying in one place like you would if you're doing normal heat embossing. And you'll know if you're not moving enough because the plastic will start melting. And it's just starting to go now in spots. You could use any color that you want. So if the only snowflakes that you have are these white plastic ones with the glitter on them, you can definitely change the color. Okay? Now to do the back side, gotta let that cool down a little bit and put my powder back in my jar. It's a little hot. Don't want to pick it up when it's hot. Okay, but I do need it to cool down. So I am going to hold it for a second. Because you don't want to do the back side while it's hot. Now I've tried heat embossing several different things, front and back. And you definitely need pliers and you definitely need a little bit of patience. And you can see I put too much heat on this side here, but it's not going to show. Okay, this is pretty cool, so I'm going to go ahead. Now, this is where you only want to do half at a time. Okay? And it's really important that you only do the half at a time at this point. Okay? And I'm going to get out my handy dandy reverse tweezers. And I'm going to heat set. And the reason that you want to do it this way is because if you put this down, you're going to glue the front to whatever surface you're putting it on. So whatever tweezers you have, that will work, but you definitely need to hold it up in the air. Otherwise, you will definitely not be happy. And it's almost there. And the great thing about this here is we've got the blue color, we've got the white color, and you know, the little chunks of gold in there. But the glitter that's on the snowflake is also shining through, which is awesome. So imagine doing this with just a gold. Okay, gotta let it cool down. You see the difference? That's normal. That's the blue. Just a little touch of blue. And I'm letting it cool down so I can grab the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the side that I didn't do. Put this away. And I don't do near as much heat embossing as I should. I really like the look of it. And get my tweezers so I can heat set. So there you go, guys. You can heat set on plastic if you're careful. Just go slow and keep moving. Okay, we're done with that. And I'm going to take some of this off because it's everywhere on my table. Okay, I think we're almost there. We can start putting together. Okay, so you do need some cardboard. Can't work without cardboard. You gotta lift your stuff. Do you need, oh, I forgot to do my flour. I'm using Prima flour. I'm gonna use this one. This is Prima Aquamarine. Since I'm gonna be spraying it, you could use a white. I'll just got some white flowers. We're also going to use some of these, but we're not going to spray that. Okay, and again with the Lindy's. And I did say I was going to do all the wet stuff first, but I didn't. Just a little tiny bit. Just a little bit. Real quick heat set because I didn't really saturate it. I do want the blue of the flower shining through. You could just stick with the white. It doesn't matter. Okay, that's good. Right there. Okay, now we can put together. So we have the Prima Aquamarine. I'm also using the Petaloo, the DIYs. These are called DIY Mums and Butterflies White. I only need one of these. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. And like I said, we need cardboard. And you don't need a lot. We are going to need more. Okay, and I just want to put a dot of this. Let me see which side of the snowflake I want. I think I want that side, so I'm just going to put a piece. in the middle. It's not going to show, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Um, I can't remember if I used one or two. And I'm going to go ahead and offset it. Yep, I used two because of the yarn. Come on, glue. And I'm just going to have it peeking out like that. Okay. And then I need another piece of the cardboard. My computer's going into sleep again. Okay, and I need a piece on the back of my white flower because I want to lift that up as well. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on. I'm going to put him about right there. And then I'm going to take my blue flower and I'm going to pick which side I want to stick underneath the white. And if your flower's too big, which mine is, hack it off. Don't be afraid about doing that, okay? That's good right there. And then this little flower here is going next, and I need another piece of cardboard. And again, it's really not going to show. I'm going to offset it so that I don't see it on the side that's going to be sticking out. Okay, this is challenging right here. Okay, and I'm going to stick that right underneath, over top of the blue, but underneath the white, and just so it's sticking out. Okay, and I do need a piece for right there. I need a longer piece. Which I will stick behind. And put some glue on that. I'm going to stick that underneath my blue flower. Okay? So you've got the danglies of the yarn and this here. And I'm just going to press it into place. Okay? Alright. Real quick. I have a bow, one bow already made. This is from my stash. I've had it for a long time. It's an open weave like burlap. It's an ivory color. I made a very simple bow. That's it. Just a little bow. That's it. I also have some burlap. And this one's going to be a little bit more, a little bit different. And it will have the swag. So I'm going to cut off a piece of wire. And since I'm using a really thin wire, I'm going to double it up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take about that much. Okay. And about that much. Need to make sure it's sort of even. Sort of being more even. And I want it to be actually smaller than this white bow. Okay, that's about right. And let me get my good scissors. Cut that off. Alright. Okay, so where's my long pieces? Right here. I'm going to turn this around. So I've got my long piece at the front. And normally you would just go ahead and cinch right here. And you've got, you know, a fancy bow with the loopy edges. Well, we're going to cinch right here. And then we're going to take the back piece and fold it down and cinch again. Now, I kind of didn't cut that one enough, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. So go ahead. I like to fold in half. Just makes it easier for me. And go ahead and tie that. I always use my pliers when I do this kind of stuff. I just find it easier to do. And then I'm just going to push the piece down so I don't poke myself. Okay, so I have a long piece, which I'm going to cut at an angle. And I also have the short piece right here, which I'm also going to cut at an angle. Which way do I want it to go? I think I'll go this way. Okay, now I need one more piece of wire, and this is going to hold everything together. So this is like really, really thin floral wire. Fold it in half. All right, now I will tell you this. This next part here is a lot easier to do if you hang up your swag. Okay, so I'm putting the two together. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of tie it in place. I want it to be, I'm actually pulling on it. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and right below my knot, I'm going to add my bow. All right, at an angle. I'm not going like this. I'm going like this. All right, then I'm going to turn it around and go ahead and twist my wire tight. Okay, and once I've got it pretty tight, I've got the two ends, and I don't know if you can see my ends here. All right, I'm going to stick my fingers in there and then go ahead. So I've got my finger creating like a little, I'm making a holder or a hanger for it is what I'm doing. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the end off and then twist that down. So that way you don't have to bother putting another hanger on. Okay, so there's my bow, which needs to be fluffed. And I am going to turn it so I can actually see what I'm doing here. All right. So you fluff your bow. We always fluff our bows. All right. Now I'm going to glue my star on, and it's going to go right here. Now, this is going to require cardboard, you guys. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 pieces. It might require more than 3, but I will tell you this. It is definitely best if you do this part when it's hanging up, so that you don't end up gluing the fibers underneath in the wrong place. Okay? I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to put it about there. So, right about there. Let's put the glue on this. Okay? So I'm really just kind of eyeballing it. About like that. And hold it in place. Okay? Now, you can add more. Once it's hanging, you'll be able to see better. It's very difficult to show you this on camera. And I wish I'd have thought about that before. Alright. So my little star is there. My bow is getting fluffed again. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Uh-oh. Don't fall off. Don't fall off. A little bit of glue right here on the cardboard. So it will glue to the burlap as well. Alright. Now if you leave it to dry, I'll show you. I'll go get the other one. And I'll show you. And that is it, you guys. That is how simple that was to make. A lot of little steps, but very simple to make. Right? So let me get the other one for you so you can see how much cardboard. I've got 4 pieces there, another 3 pieces there. And I also added a long piece on the back just to hold this piece. You don't have to. I did it. Okay? So this is what it ends up looking like. Whoops, my threads are caught. So I hope you enjoyed this, you guys. I hope that you'll make one of the swags. Like I said, they're really easy to make. You saw, right? So I hope you'll do that. Let me turn the camera back up. Bear with me, you guys. Oops, I'm turning the wrong thing. Okay, let's see. Oh, yay, there I am. Okay, so let me hold this up for you to see it so you can actually see it better. All right. Can you see how much easier it will be to glue right here? All right, and you do need that because you got a lot of weight on here, all right, and that will hold it straight as well. So I hope you are going to go ahead and make one of these, and if you do, please post them on Facebook. I can't wait to see what you create. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Don't forget, next Wednesday night we have Karen at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, of course, and this coming Saturday we have another Ustream special, and I will be making some Christmas ornaments, and we're doing little top hats. Let's see if I can get them both in. Okay. Really cute little top hats. Easy peasy to make. Okay. So I hope you'll join us then. And don't forget, go pick up your supplies. Go to the Ustream special tab on the store page. And all the items that Alda has in the store are 10% off. So that's it. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming out. And I'll see you on Saturday morning. Good night.